Hey everybody, this is MyCollectables coming back with another video, and this is the Veve Community Update Recap video that I do every time they come out with one of these videos. On YouTube, Dan, Dave, and Alex that had a great video. They went through everything, and I'm going to quickly recap it here for you for sure. Make sure you watch the whole video from them. It's really chock full of amazing stuff. It's actually a really good recap video, if you ask me, like in terms of like the community update. The update video is really great. And, I'll put the link to the video in the description of this one if you want to just go directly there. But also they tweeted it out and you can find it right there. I'd watch it. I'd highly recommend it. That's what you got to do. But here's a quick recap for you right here. So this happened on the 27th. Dan and Dave's travels. They've been traveling around and they were talking about how they were meeting with the engineers and developers and stuff like that, and just really solidifying the internal structure of Veve and everything like that. All these teams that they have, getting them all organized and stuff, and also meeting with like people like IPs and stuff like that as well. So that's what David and Dan have been doing the last like month or two since the last time. This is what they talked about at the beginning of the video, and they addressed some of the frustration. Dan addressed some of the frustration of lack of communication. So he did talk about being better in that way and talking more and giving people more updates. He mentions that a couple times throughout the video, but that was right at the beginning, right? The second thing they talk about is team updates. They got like 60 employees, 60 plus, and they're dividing them into like roles and stuff like that. They got like, this team is doing this and this team's doing that. And so they're really focusing on their objectives and stuff like that internally behind the scenes. This is really great news for us. Mitch is really helping out with that as well, for sure. And they're talking about the KYC accounts that they have, like this whole thing of making it easier for people to sign up doing KY without, having to be KYC'd and actually go for drops. That was an interesting thing that Dan talked about as well. So they have thousands of people trying to sign up apparently per month. And, without being KYC, and these people are going to be able to go for drops now, which is going to be something that's going to happen at some point too. So this is going to be really interesting moving forward. And of course, I think that will probably tie in with the waitlist drops. And they talk about that also in the video too. So the next thing they talk about was, the blog update. They talked about how they did this blog. We've seen it now with the articles. This is really great and how important this is, for them to be able to actually like share their own Veve info on their blog. When we get comic drops, it's not a medium anymore. It's on their own site. They can do this for SEO, for search optimization. They can, control their own content and also get people directed in the right way. And they're going to have way more information and articles about like, some of the environmentally friendly issues and stuff like that, and the NFTs, the carbon neutral stuff. And they talked about that as well. So it's really important that they have that. They talked about the carbon neutrality. Like I said, this is a big push. And they talked about how they learned from the Sesame Street drop, that they need to do a little bit more about this and get the word out there to educate people more that aren't in Veve, and also people that are in Veve. So they talked about that. There's going to be more articles coming and more news coming about that. So that's really kind of a cool thing. They talked about the payout update. Now, this is important for me because I'm in Canada and I can't cash out right now. So there's no word about when I'm going to be able to do that internationally. Inside the US, they're still able to do that for sure, but they're dealing with all sorts of regulations and compliance. And they said, like Dan said, when they have a third-party provider, sometimes they have to like pull things back to the United States and eliminate the outside international ability to cash out because of all these compliance issues and regulations and stuff. And so they're working on another option, you guys. And, in the next few weeks, they're asking for some patience on this from us. I'm being patient because I'm in Canada. I can't cash out. So I'm being patient for sure. But they're going to have a backup. They're working on the backup providers. They've said this a few times, but it's not that easy just to find anybody who could do these cash outs, internationally, right? They talked about money laundering and stuff and how like it affects them directly. So they have to be really careful. So we're just waiting on that. And it's really their third-party provider that's caused this issue, not Veve themselves. So we'll hopefully get that back for international people for sure. Then they talked about the MCP and they're calling it loyalty, like a loyalty program. I've started to hear this terminology put in there, and they're working through all the data of getting everybody their MCP. I don't have mine yet, but our other account in my house does, and it's a very small account. So it's nothing to do with how big your account is or anything like that. They're just, working through. Hopefully I'll get mine soon, right? But they said they have like 80 to 90,000 accounts to go through. And that's actually interesting because they actually use those numbers. And we know the active users aren't that high. So, that's interesting. There's a lot of accounts that are just sitting there that are actually getting whitelisted that aren't being used or people aren't really logging in. But they're just doing it by random to get all sorts of people in there. It's crazy, right? So by end of May, they said everybody should be in there, all of us. So we're just waiting. Hopefully I get mine, and they really talked about MCP plus OUP, and having a loyalty program, and Mitch's efforts to actually put this together and really make it like, synergize so we can really reward collectors. This is going to be really interesting to see how it goes, but I'm excited about that. That was very good. Very, very, very good part of the video for sure. Then they did the OMI to NFT update. It's the first part of that OMI utility program. Mitch is working hard on that in the background too, after the MCP rollout. And they had that video game that they talked about. They talk about that in there where you can use OMI in the game. So all this stuff is coming, right? As we all know, we've been waiting, but they're working on it. And Dan said he's going to be more clear and more communications about like the steps and stages that they go through. Then the crafting and burning. And this is crazy because right while I was making this video, I was doing a live stream and they announced the Thanos Infinity Stone stuff with the crafting and the burning. We already saw it with the potion. I mean, it's nuts. So like, there'll be a video on my channel all about that. And Veve tweeted it out with all the information. So we can see this is going to be nuts. It looks like you'll be able to craft and like, the stones probably from the original, like the Infinity Stones we have, and then be able to, they'll probably get burnt away, and then you'll be able to go after an airdrop of Thanos. All the details are coming, but this is really fun and it's causing a lot of really interesting stuff in the market. So they talked about how more of this is going to happen. That's cool. And then they talked about the waitlist drop system, which is coming up. It's already in the app. It's already ready to go. Apparently, they're just waiting on the development of the logo itself, the new logo, the 3D version of it, because that's going to be the first thing they drop. And then maybe the letters as well. And they have a couple of IPs that have agreed to actually test out the system. So they're going to do the testing out of either blind boxes as well as like non-blind box drops. And this is going to replace the current buy now. So this is coming, you guys. It's very, very soon. And we'll see what this happens. That's pretty exciting. And the Veve logo, if you were promised one from that DCon one-day event, you're still going to be able to get that. Alex mentioned that as well. So that's pretty cocool. Then there was a Veveverse update and they showed some new footage, and you can see this new footage right here. It's crazy. It's beautiful. It's really fun. I mean, look at this whole thing right here. You'll be able to go in and check things out. It's active, but it's in development. And Dan said he's in there all the time doing stuff, working on it all the time. So he's going to have more. This is where he actually mentions the more communication part, the better, to give us a thought about what's going on. That the wallets that are connecting to it, the 3D model conversion, the policies that go behind it. You'll be able to have guests there, coming over. The beta tester invites are going to go out to a small group. It's a bit delayed because it's a lot that goes into the Veveverse, but that's all in the works as well. So anyway, the crafting airdrops is where I'm going to leave it because that's where the stones are going on right now. It's a great video. Make sure you go watch the whole thing. Make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you think as well. I'll see you in the next video. Happy collecting.